Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has apologized for tweets that were deemed anti-Semitic by Jews and other sentient humans with the ability to read. Omar's gracious apology came after a meeting with Nancy Pelosi, during which Pelosi twisted Omar's arm behind her back, drove her face first into the floor, then stuck her high heel into the back of her neck, screaming, "Apologize to the Jews, you feckless clown." After the meeting, a smiling Omar issued her apology in a speech to a group calling itself Islamics Sorry for Insulting Semites, or ISIS. The statement said, quote, "I am deeply sorry to the dirty Jews for offending their greedy hook-nosed sensibilities. While I will continue my principled opposition to the international Jewish conspiracy of bankers, I do regret if anything I said was so poorly phrased that it seemed to imply to Jews that I wish to wipe every single one of them off the face of the earth. Of course, all I really want is for Jews and Palestinians to live together until there are no Jews left," unquote. Nancy Pelosi, in a separate statement she released to a mop she mistook for the Good Witch from the movie Wizard of Oz, said, quote, "It is time for all Democrats to renounce the expressions of anti-Semitism which are interfering with our party's plans to destroy the state of Israel. In the same way the Republicans stripped Steve King of his committee posts after he made a remark that could be misinterpreted as racist, we have forced a meaningless apology out of Ilhan Omar for her rampant Jew hatred, which we'll now proceed to ignore," unquote. In keeping with Pelosi's statement, Congresswoman Omar will continue to hold her coveted position on the Foreign Affairs Committee and will also continue to call for the abolishment of the Department of Homeland Security, which she says has repeatedly interfered with innocent Muslims who are simply trying to board commercial jets for the last time in their lives. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shape, tipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
So let's talk Jews. Despite my conversion to Christianity, I remain a fan. Jews represent about 0.2% of the world's population. Not 2%, 0.2. About 13 million people, a little more than half the population of the city of Shanghai. Yet if you made a list of the 10 most influential people to have ever lived, approximately 11 of them would be Jews, including Moses, Jesus, St. Paul, Albert Einstein, and Sigmund Freud. Not to mention Karl Marx, more's the pity. You can't win them all. About 1/5 of Nobel Prizes have gone to Jews, more than that if you only count the science prizes. Jews have also made huge contributions in the realm of entertainment, business, and more, and they've accomplished all this while being the very model of the persecuted other, at least here in the West. Every victim on the left wing's favorite victim list can only aspire to being as hated, excluded, and oppressed as the Jews have been throughout Western history. All through the Middle Ages, the Jews were declared the killers of Christ, the abandoned of God, the enemies of faith. When the Crusades began in the 11th century, the Crusaders decided they couldn't expel the infidel from Jerusalem while infidels still lived in Europe, so they stopped off on the way to Outremer to slaughter the local Jews. When Mongols invaded Europe in the 13th century, the Europeans declared them one of the lost tribes of Israel, and in revenge, they slaughtered the local Jews. When the Black Death wiped out a third of Europe's population in the 14th century, you guessed it, they blamed the Jews for poisoning the wells and slaughtered them. And so on, right up to the last century when the Nazis added technology to the old tradition and very nearly eradicated God's chosen people altogether. That gave Jews some victim status, so people were nice to them for a couple of decades, but you just can't keep a mindless hatred down. And today, wherever people abandon the best principles of moral reasoning, anti-Semitism rises up like the devil's flagpole, which brings us to today's Democratic Party. And we're going to talk about that in a minute, but first let's talk about ExpressVPN. This is a gift. You know, Michael Knowles has improved my life in many ways. Like right now, he's out of town and that's improved my life, but also he recommended ExpressVPN. Oh, is he back? Sorry. But he also recommended ExpressVPN, which is so useful. I use it every single day. It takes about 90 seconds to download. It makes an online, it protects your information when you're online. It makes if you're making an online purchase, purchase or accessing your email. That could put your private information at risk. But with ExpressVPN, it's an easy-to-use app that runs seamlessly in the background to protect your information. It only takes one click. It secures and anonymizes your internet browsing by encrypting your data and hiding your public IP address. Protecting yourself with ExpressVPN costs less than $7 a month. ExpressVPN is rated the #1 VPN service by TechRadar and comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Protect your online activity today and find out how you can get 3 months free at expressvpn.com/Klavan. That's expressvpn.com/Klavan for 3 months free with a 1-year package. Visit expressvpn.com/Klavan to learn more. But don't slash Klavan, spell Klavan. How do you do that? It's Klavan. So Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, in one of the least gracious apologies in the history of apologizing, she apologized for her anti-Semitic tweets. She had gone on and said that IPAC was the reason that so many politicians, the Jewish PAC, the Israeli PAC, was the reason that so many politicians supported Israel, ignoring the fact that Israel is the only free nation in the Middle East and the only nation that shares our values. She said it's all about the Benjamins, baby. It's all about the money. She's being accused of retweeting a tweet that said something about hook-nosed Jews, but I think she did that by accident, to be fair. But it's the old trope that Jewish money controls politics. It's the international conspiracy of Jews dealing out those shekels and controlling our politics. Now, and I'm cautious about this all the time because I don't like it when the left uses this dog whistle garbage to twist anything any conservative says and make it sound racist. Oh, it's secretly a dog whistle. He wants border security. He wants the rule of law. That's secretly an anti-Hispanic dog whistle. I hate when they do that. This woman, though, is the real deal. She is she's constantly calling on a boycott of Israel, the purpose of which is to destroy Israel, essentially. She has called Israel evil. She says it's hypnotized people, so they ignore its evil. She's compared it to Iran, the theocracy in Iran, ignoring the fact that Israel gives equal rights to Muslim citizens who live there. This whole idea of the genocide, which they accuse Israel of, or apartheid, which Jimmy Carter has accused Israel of, it's total nonsense. There are occupied territories where people do not have full citizenship, but if you don't attack Israel, they don't conquer your land. Israel has always been trying to defend itself, and that is why it has taken over other parts of the Middle East. You can criticize Israel without being anti-Semitic. It should go without saying, right? But it's always a little suspicious, and there's a way to tell. Nathan Sharansky, I think it was, he had what he called the 3 Ds. Let's see what they were. There's delegitimization. In other words, it's not a legitimate country. It doesn't have a right to exist. Where else? What other country has to argue for its right to exist? What other country has to argue for its right to exist, except maybe America with the left, because they want us to be washed away by illegal immigration? But no other country has to argue that they have the right to be who they are. So it's delegitimization, and that the BDS movement is definitely a delegitimizing movement, because it's basically saying it is not right to do business with this country. This country should not exist in its form. And Ilhan Omar has said it cannot be a Jewish state and a democracy. That's delegitimizing right there. The other one is demonization, and she has called it evil. So that's the other one of the 2 Ds. When you say, it's evil or it's apartheid, that's demonizing Israel. And the other one is double standards. And boy, oh boy, has she done that, because, she just ignores the fact that of all these other countries, as one of our first 2 Muslim women congresswomen, she ignores the fact that all these Muslim countries oppress people of other religion if they don't ban them outright. And so Israel does not do that. Israel has Muslims and other people in very high offices of government, and they can be elected, they can vote, they can do all these things. And that's just not, and women, you remember women? Half the world, Israel treats women equally. A lot of these other countries don't. So it's double standards, demonization, delegitimization. She has done all that. And that is the way you tell that you're dealing not with a careful criticism of an ally, of one of America's allies, which is one thing. You can say the British do bad things, but that's different. You're criticizing an ally. You can say Israel does bad things, but you're talking about anti-Semitism. So anyway, the Democrats realize they've got a problem in Ilhan Omar. She has gone off the reservation. They get a lot of money a lot of donations from the Jews, and Jews support them, though God knows why at this point. I do not know why Jews support the Democrat Party. I do not know why Jews remain liberal when it's the liberals, the leftists. I won't call them liberals because they're not liberal about anything, but the leftists are increasingly anti-Semitic, but we'll get to that. So here's Nancy Pelosi. This is the whole Democrat leadership put up out a statement, and I do applaud them for that. This is from Nancy Pelosi, Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, Majority Whip, James E. Clyburn, all the gang. Anti-Semitism must be called out, confronted, and condemned wherever it is encountered without exception. We are and will always be strong supporters of Israel in Congress because we understand that our support is based on shared values and strategic interests. Legitimate criticism of Israel's policies is protected by the values of free speech and democratic debate that the United States and Israel share, but Congresswoman Omar's use of anti-Semitic tropes and prejudicial accusations about Israel's supporters is deeply offensive. We condemn these remarks and we call upon Congresswoman Omar to immediately apologize for these hurtful comments. As Democrats and as Americans, the entire Congress must be fully engaged in denouncing and rejecting all forms of hatred, racism, prejudice, and discrimination wherever they are encountered. All right. So Ilhan Omar, who has, I have to say, all these young women in their white dresses who showed up, their white suits who showed up for the State of the Union and are so self-congratulatory and kind of affirming the fact that they're women, they're in Congress, and they're in Congress and women at the same time. They're not at one time women and also in Congress. They're actually doing them both together. They all seem incredibly entitled to me. They all seem incredibly self-assured in their stupidity and their empty-headedness, their ignorance, and not all of them, but the ones who are coming to the fore, Ilhan Omar, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they just seem like incredibly confident for people who don't know anything. It's just amazing. I mean, even I, who actually know something, if I were a first-year congressman, I would keep my head down a little bit. I would kind of learn the ropes, find out what's going on, and then put myself forward as I got more experience. But these people just know what they know, which is nothing, and then they go forward and they're just so confident. And really, they're really bad news. I mean, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I love this. They're saying, it wasn't, she released that New Deal thing, and they're saying that Green New Deal, and they're saying the Green New Deal wasn't bad. It's just the way she released it. So basically, we're supposed to believe that she can't handle a press release, but she will be able to handle taking over the entire economy. So here is the apology, the non-apology apology. Anti-Semitism is real, and I am grateful for Jewish allies and colleagues who are educating me on the painful history of anti-Semitic tropes. Now remember, this is not the first time this has happened, right? She's been called out for this before, but she's always just finding out that these things, that saying that Jews are using their money to control politics, she's just now finding out that this is a bad thing to do. My intention is never to offend my constituents or Jewish Americans as a whole. We have to always be willing to step back and think through criticism, just as I expect people to hear me when others attack me for my identity. This is why I unequivocally apologize. If it had stopped there, it might have been a little bit ill-natured, but still. But she goes on. At the same time, I reaffirm the problematic role of lobbyists in our politics, whether it be AIPAC, the NRA, or the fossil fuel industry. It's gone on too long, and we must be willing to address it. So in other words, I apologize for everything I said, and then I say it again. I said it's all about the Benjamins, baby. That's the only line she left out. It's all about the Benjamins. But by the way, lobbying is a guaranteed right in the Constitution. That is the right to redress government about your grievances, and it only is a problem. Lobbying is only a problem when it's lobbying about NRA, fuel, things that they don't like freedom and the Jews, basically. Let us talk for a moment about calming comfort. This is the weighted blanket. It's from Sharper Image. It's a weighted blanket that helps you relax so you can fall asleep and stay asleep naturally. It really does work. It really is comforting. It's supposed to feel like you're being hugged, and it does. My wife is out of town. This blanket is the only friend I have. I'm telling you, not only am I sleeping under it, I'm talking to it. It provides exactly the right amount of weight to help relax your body. It's designed to promote a sense of calmness and relaxation for a more restful sleep. And as you know, I don't sleep a lot, but I do sleep better using this thing. Calming comfort applies an even amount of pressure over your body to help the production of serotonin and melatonin, simulating deep touch pressure stimulation. I know that's what it says. I know nothing about that. I only know it really does help you relax. The Calming Comfort weighted blanket comes with a 90-day, anxiety-free, stress-free, best night's sleep of your life guarantee from Sharper image. Right now, just for our listeners, you can go to calmingcomfortblanket.com, use promo code Andrew at checkout to receive 15% off the displayed price. Again, that's calmingcomfortblanket.com, promo code Andrew. And because you can't put a price on a great night's sleep, go online at calmingcomfortblanket.com and use promo code Andrew for your special discount today. It really does work. I'm not kidding. It's a great thing. So they're complaining about lobbying. She goes back to complaining about lobbying. So the press now, of course, is going to give her a pass. And the thing that everybody keeps bringing up is Steve King. And Steve King said these things, and they said, Steve King claims that the New York Times basically rejiggered his comments by falsely punctuating them, so they sounded like he was saying something he wasn't saying, that he was saying that white supremacism wasn't offensive. It sounded like that's what he was saying from the interview, but he said that's not what he said, that they repunctuated it. He was not saying that. He was saying that Western culture, Western civilization was not offensive, and he has entirely renounced any notion of white supremacy. He was not, he didn't leave any space there. He actually renounced it, and he was stripped of all his committee posts. Nothing has happened to Omar Ilhan. So the press and the left, but I repeat myself, are trying to draw a false equivalence. Here is CNN, what's his name? Peter King, is that his name? Anyway, this is CNN fronting for Ilhan Omar.
In the case of Leader McCarthy, I just want to make clear he himself had to delete a tweet just a few weeks ago where he said we cannot allow Soros, Steyer, and Bloomberg to buy this election. So as he now says there's anti-Semitism on the Democratic side, he faced this himself not that long ago, so he should be careful how high he jumps up on the box. But to your point about the committee assignment or what sanctions would there be, Elliot Engel is the chairman of the committee. He just put out a statement that says anti-Semitism in any form is unacceptable, and it's shocking to hear a member of Congress invoke the anti-Semitic trope of Jewish money. He goes on to say he hopes the committee will focus on policy. Nowhere in here does he say anything about she shouldn't be here.
And this isn't the first time that Congresswoman Omar has responded to criticism of the way she talks about the Israeli government by saying, hey, I'm willing to learn, I'm open to it. So to Carl's point, there may be some formalized counseling moment. But it's clear that Republicans, even though, let's just also be clear, they took a long time to condemn Steve King the way that they did. Everybody knew for years.
Several decades, I think.
Several decades, yeah. It's clear that Republicans are going to keep harping on this.
Oh, yes, Republicans pounce. They've been talking about this. The New York Times actually ran the headline today about AOC's new Green Deal. She messed up the release and Republicans pounced. Not she tried to take over American freedom. She just tried to destroy American freedom on the basis of a complete panic that they've already, a complete phony panic about the environment. But Republicans pounced. And, it's nonsense. I mean, Steve King, when he said what he said, even though he claimed it was taken out of context, he was severely punished by the Republican establishment right away. They jumped on him right away. They're saying, well, he was always like this, but that's because they hear everything as a dog whistle. Has nothing to do with the reality of what the guy is saying. Just take a look at Omar Ilhan she's being chased by reporters and being interviewed about it. Take a look at it. If this looks like a person, A, who's sorry, or B, who's worried about any kind of real punishment other than this kind of finger wagging. Look at her.
I'm pretty sure that was stated in my statement.
Were you surprised by the criticism?
Always surprised.
Are you worried about losing committee assignments?
Absolutely not.
I mean, she's absolutely not worried about losing a committee assignment. Oh, I'm always surprised by criticism because she has, like AOC, she has this utter confidence born of ignorance and maybe nastiness as well. That's not a woman who looks sorry to me. That is not a woman who looks like she made a mistake. This is something she knows she's going to get away with this. Why? Because the Democrat Party is increasingly an anti-Israel and thereby, through that, an anti-Semitic party. Okay, 79%, almost 80% of Republicans sympathize more with Israel than the Palestinians, according to a Pew survey last year. Democrats, it's 27% for Israel and 25% for the Palestinians. I'm not sure what the rest of the people think. In 2016, I'm reading this from the Wall Street Journal, dozens of Black Lives Matter groups released a platform accusing Israel of genocide and apartheid. There's the demonization part again. And endorsing the boycott, there's the delegitimization part, divestment and sanctions. In 2017, the Democratic Socialists of America overwhelmingly endorsed BDS, the divestment and boycott movement at its national conference, upon which the room erupted in chants of "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." And that means pushing 5 to 6 million Jews into the sea. That's what it means. It means destroying those people and destroying that country. 2 Democrats, the socialist group, has propelled to Congress Rashida Tlaib and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They are also anti-Israel. And you know, in a lot of ways, all week long, I've been talking about losing the idea of original sin, losing the idea that the founders knew so well. You only have to read the Federalist paper that people suck, that people are flawed, that people given power will misuse power. If you read the Federalist papers, every word virtually is trying to create this device in the Constitution that will keep people from doing what they naturally do, which is abuse each other, okay? That notion comes to us through an idea of God, which comes to us through Jesus, who comes to us through the Jews. And, you know, even the idea of the Jews killing Jesus, which makes no more sense than saying white people held slaves, all white people held slaves, or all black people commit crime, saying the Jews killed Jesus is nonsense. But even that idea is a way of denying what is the real truth, which is that mankind killed God because mankind doesn't like God, because in the face of God, they understand their own smallness and their own sinfulness and their own brokenness. The Jews and the religion that the Jews spread through the West, that formed the West, that shaped the West, that gave the West most of the good things that it has through Jesus Christ. That's why people hate the Jews. They want to get rid of that because then they can do what they want. And then they can say, oh, you know, we don't have to reserve any power to God. We don't have to worry about original sin. Just give me all the power. I'll take care of the energy. It's going to be fine. I'll run the businesses. I'll do what needs to be done. It's all related to the same thing. It is this idea of perfection, which makes people the enemies of God and makes people the enemies of the Jews. That's why every time, and by the way, this has happened on the right too. You know, William F. Buckley expelled the Jew haters from the conservative movement and really improved the conservative movement by doing that. But it happens wherever people go wrong, wherever people lose sight of the moral realities that the West has taught them. Anti-Semitism springs up. It is not reserved to the left, but it is part of the left going crazy. It is a marker. It's the devil's flagpole. Anti-Semitism is the devil's flagpole. It goes up wherever bad thoughts, bad ideas, bad philosophy are infesting a movement, and that's what's happening to the left now. I just want to take a moment. We have a guest coming on to talk about identity politics. First, I have to talk about Dollar Shave Club. I love talking about sponsors who I used before they became sponsors, because it just always feels even more authentic. Obviously, I test out everything. I make them send me stuff, or at least if I have to, if I can't do it myself, I have someone I trust test it. But with Dollar Shave Club, I subscribed a long, long time ago, and it has been great. And as you can see, I have a lot of real estate to cover. A little less now that I have the beard, but still a lot of real estate. I need a good razor because I'm shaving the top of my head, and you do not want to hurt yourself. You do not want to be using old blades. Dollar Shave Club, you subscribe, and every month DSC delivers everything you need to your door, not just razors, but everything that you need to keep looking good. They have you covered head to toe, stuff for your hair, your skin, your face, you name it. They have it, and they automatically keep you stocked up on the products you use. They now even have a toothpaste, which is really tasty, very good. Use that too. And with a handsome discount, the more you buy, the more you save. Right now, they've got a bunch of starter sets you can try for just $5, like their oral care kit. After that, the restock box ships regular size products at regular price. So what are you waiting for? Get your starter set for just $5 right now at dollarshaveclub.com/Klavan. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Klavan. And I know what you're thinking. Every single damn one of you, I can see it on your faces. You're trying to look innocent, but you're thinking, how do you spell Klavan? It is Klavan. You know what I forgot to talk about? The mailbag. We have some serious mailbaggery coming up tomorrow, and you want to be a part of it because, why? Because you want me to solve all your problems for your lousy $10. You got to subscribe to be in the mailbag. So go to dailywire.com and subscribe, and then you can ask any question you want. It's a lousy $10 a month, a lousy $100 for the year. For the $100, you get the Leftist Tears tumbler. But more importantly, you get to be in the mailbag, which is a little uncomfortable. But while you're there, you get to ask any question you want. Ask about religion, ask about politics, ask about anything you need to ask about, and all my answers are guaranteed 100% correct and will change your life on occasion for the better. Go to dailywire.com, hit the podcast button, hit the Andrew Klavan podcast, hit the little mailbag image there, and then you're free to ask any question you want, and I will answer them all. That's tomorrow, so get your question in now. All right, we got to take a break. We have Dr. David Azarad coming up. We're going to take a break from Facebook and YouTube. Good time to come to thedailywire.com, subscribe, then you can watch the entire show streamed there right on the site.